Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right, so Prabhupada is still in hospital. Although his health is improving slowly, but improvement is there. But still, the hospital staff are basically sort of ordering the devotees and ordering Prabhupada that he must stay there for some weeks, which is going to cost, because in America there's no free hospitals at all. So, okay, but Prabhupada, he doesn't like it. He really doesn't like it. Srila Prabhupada was eager to leave the hospital. For several days he had wanted to go. They're simply sticking needles, he complained. And each day was putting his society into further debt because they're paying for the hospital. The devotees had rented a small seaside house in Long Branch, New Jersey, where Prabhupada could go to recuperate. Kirtanananda, they decided, would be Prabhupada's cook, and Gaurasundar and his wife, Govinda Dasi, were arriving from San Francisco to do the housekeeping and help. But the doctor wanted Prabhupada to stay for another brainwave test and more observation. One day, while Brahmananda and Gagamuni were visiting Prabhupada, the doctor entered and announced that the Swami would have to go downstairs for an X-ray. No needle? Prabhupada asked. Yes, the doctor replied, it's all right. When the nurse brought in a bed on wheels, Prabhupada said he wanted Gagamuni to push it. He then sat on it cross-legged and put his hand in his bead bag, and Gagamuni, following the nurse, wheeled him out the door, down the hall, and onto the elevator. They went down to the 3rd floor and entered a room. The nurse left them alone. Gagamuni could sense Prabhupada's uneasiness. He was also nervous. It was such an unlikely place for him to be with his spiritual master. Then a different nurse entered with a needle. Time to give Swami a little injection. No, Prabhupada shook his head. I'm sorry, Gagamuni said flatly. We're not going to do it. The nurse was exasperated but smiled. It won't hurt. Take me back, Prabhupada ordered Gagamuni. When the nurse insisted, Gagamuni acted rashly, his usual tendency, and stepped between the nurse and Srila Prabhupada. I'm ready to fight if I have to, Gagamuni thought. I won't let you do it, he said, and wheeled the bed out of the room, leaving the nurse behind. Gagamuni was lost. He was somewhere on the 3rd or 4th floor, faced with corridors and doors, and Prabhupada's room was on the 6th floor. Unsure where he was going, Gagamuni wheeled through the corridors with Prabhupada sitting cross-legged, chanting on his beads. Brahmananda arrived at the X-ray lab seconds after Gagamuni's escape. The nurse and an intern complained to him about what had happened. Brahmananda, they considered this a theft. Swamiji was their property. As long as he was in the hospital, he was theirs to do whatever they pleased with. Gagamuni had stolen Swamiji away from them. Gagamuni got to the elevator. He had difficulty maneuvering the bed, and in his haste bumped into the floor. He forgot what floor Swamiji was on. He only knew that he was protecting Swamiji, who wanted to be taken away. When Gagamuni finally reached Prabhupada's room, 607, an intern was there and spoke angrily. "I don't care," Gagamuni said. "He doesn't want any more needles or tests. We want to leave." Brahmananda arrived, calmed his younger brother, and helped Prabhupada back into bed. Prabhupada said he wanted to leave. When the doctor came in, Prabhupada sat up and spoke decisively. "Doctor, I am all right. I can go." And he shook the doctor's hand to show him he was hale and hearty. The doctor chuckled. He said that although Swamiji was getting stronger, he would have to stay a few more days. He was by no means out of danger yet. He required careful medical surveillance. They needed to run another electroencephalogram. Srila Prabhupada still had pains around his heart, but he told the doctor his boys had a place for him to rest by the seaside. This was very good, the doctor said, but he couldn't let his patient go just yet. But Prabhupada had made up his mind. Brahmananda and Gagamuni arranged for a rented car. They gathered Prabhupada's things and helped him dress. As they escorted him out of his room, and the hospital staff saw that the boys were actually taking the old man away, some of the doctors and nurses tried to stop them. Brahmananda told them not to worry. Swamiji was very dear to them, and they would take good care of him. He would get regular massages and plenty of rest, and they would get him whatever medicines the doctors prescribed. After a rest by the seaside, he would come back for a checkup. Brahmananda. Then the doctors became fed up. They threatened us. "This man is going to die." They really scared us. They said, "This man is going to die, and it is going to be your fault." Even as we left, they said, "This man is condemned to death." It was horrible. Unquote. At 10 a.m. on June the 8th, they left the hospital. Prabhupada wanted to stop briefly at the temple at 26 2nd Avenue before going to the house in Long Branch. Entering the storefront, walking shakily, he came before the portraits of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and his spiritual master's father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. For the first time, Prabhupada's disciples saw him offer fully prostrated obeisances. Boy, that's amazing, isn't it? He's already been in the country for 2 years, but he's been actively preaching, you could say, I mean, in 26 Second Avenue for, actually I'm not sure, but maybe a year. As he prostrated himself before his Guru Maharaj, his disciples also paid obeisances and felt their devotion increase. When Prabhupada arrived at his cottage in Long Branch at 1 o'clock, he had Kirtanananda immediately begin cooking lunch. It would be Prabhupada's first regular hot meal, rice, dal, chapatis, sabji, since his stroke 9 days ago. Prabhupada went to bed, but soon got up and came into the kitchen, asking, "Is it ready?" Kirtanananda made a few excuses and said he would hurry. After a few minutes, Prabhupada returned. He seemed furious. "Why are you taking so long?" Kirtanananda moved as quickly as he could, but he couldn't make the dal boil any faster. "Whatever you have," Prabhupada said, "let me eat it. I don't care if it is raw." Kirtanananda served lunch, and Prabhupada ate with the relish of a person in good health. Kirtanananda telephoned his pal, Hayagriva, in San Francisco. He ate like anything. It was wonderful to see. The small one-story cottage was situated in a quiet suburb, a short walk from the beach. The backyard was enclosed by trees and shrubs, and the neighborhood bloomed with fragrant roses. But the weather was often blustery and the sky grey. Prabhupada spoke of returning to India to recuperate. In Delhi, Sri Krishna Pandit had refused Prabhupada's urgent request for Ayurvedic medicine. He said, "You're in such a long place. If the medicine gives some bad reaction, then how to arrange for the good?" Prabhupada had written back asking if an Ayurvedic physician could be sent to America, but the proposal seemed impractical. It would be better for Prabhupada to go to India. He received Swami Narayan Maharaj's reply that since no Ayurvedic doctor would go to America, Swamiji should come and be treated in Calcutta. Narayan Maharaj also enclosed a letter to Prabhupada's secretary, Roy Ram. "There is no need for anxiety. Please utter Harinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare," near his ears. God will do for the best. Srila Prabhupada talked of going to India not only for his health. He told Kirtanananda and Gaurasunda he wanted to start in Vrindavan an American house, a place where his American disciples could learn Vedic culture to help them preach all over the world. He also said he wanted to make some of his disciples, Kirtanananda, Brahmananda, Hayagriva, into sannyasis, and he would do that also in India. His real work, however, was in America, if he could just regain his health. But where was the sunshine? Because it's June, and This is New York, basically. New York in June is normally quite warm, and July it gets hot, really hot, by our standards. But not like India in June. Vrindavan particularly. Govinda Dasi had cherished the desire to serve Swamiji personally ever since she had first met him in San Francisco. She saw that he was selfless, and his love for his disciples was unlike anything she had ever known before. She didn't mention her cherished desire to anyone, even to Gaurasunda. But now Krishna was fulfilling her desire by allowing her and Gaurasunda to come to New Jersey to serve Prabhupada. To the devotees in New York, having a married couple take care of Swamiji seemed the best arrangement, and Govinda Dasi and Gaurasunda had been available. These were external reasons, but Govinda Dasi understood that Krishna was fulfilling her desire. Serving Swamiji, Govinda Dasi felt completely satisfied. Now that she was actually dedicating herself to Swamiji as she had always wanted, nothing else was on her mind. Despite the problems of working with Kirtanananda, who seemed to think she was less intelligent because she was a woman and who sometimes corrected her. So despite that, she was happy. Govinda Dasi. Swamiji would sit on a little couch with a table before him, and Gaurasunda and Kirtanananda and I would sit on the floor, and we would all eat together like a family. We would talk, and one time the subject was rice. Kirtanananda said, "White rice is for human beings, and brown rice is for animals." That's interesting, isn't it? So I said, I must be an animal then, because I really like brown rice better. And Swamiji just laughed and laughed and laughed. He thought it was so funny. I guess it did sound pretty simple, but he laughed and laughed. Prabhupada was sitting in the backyard when Govinda Dasi saw a large slug climbing on a wall. She showed it to Prabhupada. "Chant to the poor thing," he said, and she began to chant Hare Krishna. Govinda Dasi would take walks daily and with the neighbor's permission pick dozens of roses with the neighbor's permission. You know, one thing I remember, in 1972, when Prabhupada first came to Auckland, and stayed some few days, not a long time, but some number of days, I don't even know. That's when I saw him at the university. So the devotees, devotees always need flowers. So they went to it may be the main municipal rose garden, and just picked roses, and just picked roses. And the police came, and the devotees got arrested, and it was on the front page of the main daily newspaper in the country, and I saw the article, and I thought, these Hare Krishnas, this is not good. Yeah, I remember that distinctly. On returning, she would arrange them in vases and place them all around in Prabhupada's room. One time when Prabhupada heard her loudly singing Hare Krishna as she returned from the neighborhood, he remarked to Gaurasunda, "She is very simple-hearted." Govinda Dasi. Swamiji talked about Krishna in such a way that Krishna was present in the room. This was so striking to me. He would talk about Krishna's activities, about how Krishna is doing this and that, and how Krishna is so wonderful, and Mother Yashoda is thinking like this. He would talk, and he would get into such a beautiful state that the whole room would glow golden. I would feel as if I were being transported to some other realm, and it was all very new to me. I didn't have any great understanding of what was going on, but it was all very new to me, and it was an actual transcendental experience of feeling Krishna's presence and almost glimpsing within the heart the memory of his pastimes. Unquote. Swamiji playing kartals, Swamiji walking on the beach, Swamiji sitting in his room or taking a nap. Everything he did seemed wonderful to Govinda Dasi, and everything he did or said seemed to endear him more and more to her. Devotees would travel, no more than 2 at a time and only once a week, from Manhattan to Long Branch to visit Swamiji. Mostly they would see him sitting on his bed, but sometimes they would walk with him on the beach. The morning sunshine, he said, would help him, but the gray skies persisted. As Prabhupada sat one morning with Kirtanananda, Gaurasunda, Satsvarup, Govinda Dasi, and Jadurani on a blanket spread on the sand, he noticed some boys with surfboards trying to ride the waves. They think this is bliss, playing in the water, he said. Actually, there is some bliss there, but it is not Ananda, the bliss of the spiritual world. On Krishna Loka, everything is conscious. The water is conscious. The land is conscious. And everything is blissful. Here, that is not so. Devotees looked with him at the surfers bobbing in the sea. Yes, Kirtanananda said. And also here it's dangerous. At any moment, one of the surfboards could jump up and hit them on the head. Yeah. Not here, but elsewhere. Srila Prabhupada saw some, I think in Hawaii, Prabhupada saw some people surfing. And Prabhupada asked the devotees, who are they? What are they doing? And the devotees said, they're surfers, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, oh, sea sufferers. And the devotee said, no, Prabhupada, they're surfers. And Prabhupada said, yes, sea sufferers. I used to be one of them. And it's true. It's so true. Boy, what a waste of time. Gee. And Prabhupada's, Kirtananda says that it's dangerous. At any moment, one of the surfboards could jump up and hit them on the head. One of a person I knew, Paul Barton, 50 years ago. We would go surfing sometimes. He wasn't a very nice person. But anyway, he was with maybe my brother, or anyway, after I had left New Zealand, he was with some people surfing at a place, and they don't actually know what happened, but they suspect he got hit on the head because they couldn't find him. Some of them are on the beach, and some of them are out surfing. And after a while, they realized, hey, where's this fellow gone? And he had gone. And his body floated in. Because bodies, when people die, here's a little not surfing, but just knowledge of physics or something. You know how when you swim, can you swim? You can. Can you swim? Can you swim? Lakshminath Prabhu. Can you swim?
Not really.
Not so much. But anyway, when you swim, you float, right? You can just sit there in the water and it may come up to here, but you won't go down. It's because you're breathing and air is in your lungs. But if you force the air out, so there's no air in your lungs, you go down. And if you ever tried that, you go down. So when a person drowns, the air goes out of their lungs, and the lungs fill with water, actually. So they go down. But then after, I think it's like 2 or maybe 3 days, through the process of death and whatever happens after, the body starts filling up with air. And so dead bodies then come to the surface. How's that? Interesting? Not really. So that's what happened to this fellow. After I think about 3 days, his body floated to the surface. Yeah. And that was it. Okay, sorry about that. But surfing, I don't advise to go surfing, okay? All right. Okay, particularly if you can't swim. It's such a royal waste of time. Yeah, it's such a waste of time surfing. Oh my God. Okay, so, yes, Srila Prabhupada said, this is not real Ananda. Prahlad Maharaj has said that this material world is crushing him like a grinding wheel of repeated birth and death. He says that in material life, he experiences either separation from what is beloved to him or meeting up with an obstacle he doesn't want. And in my surfing experience, how's this? Twice I saw sharks, and one time a shark came quite close. Big shark. Haribol. Okay, so, and in order to combat this condition, the remedy he takes is even worse than the disease. LSD is like that, a remedy worse than the disease, because they would take LSD with the idea that we're expanding our awareness and developing deeper understanding, deeper knowledge, deeper realization of what is life and all these types of things. But actually, it just made them worse. It made them worse. Really, really made them worse. Really. Except that Prabhupada's face looked thin. His appearance was the same as before his illness. He sat among them, wrapped in a grey wool chadar. They knew he must be very careful about how much he did. They would never forget, as they had forgotten before, that he was 72 years old. Perhaps never again would they be able to enjoy spending as much time with him as before. Certainly for now, his intimate association had become a rare treasure. Sitting inches away from Prabhupada on the beach blanket, Satsvarup asked a question on behalf of the devotees in New York. Swamiji, is wearing of leather shoes permissible? No. What if someone has given us some leather shoes? Leather means violence, Prabhupada said. He pointed to Satsvarup's shoes of inexpensive man-made material. Your country's very nice. By your technology, you can get these shoes easily without wearing leather. For Satsvarup and the others, the question was answered for a lifetime, and the time and place became a reference, like a chapter and verse number in the scriptures. As Jadurani helped Govinda Dasi gather flowers, the two girls talked together. Both had heard the men say that women were less intelligent. Haribol. And they felt discouraged. Excuse me for laughing. Later, Govinda Dasi told Prabhupada about the problem. Is it true, she asked, that because we're women, we won't make advancement as quickly as the brahmacharis? Yes, Prabhupada answered. If you think of yourselves as women, how will you make any advancement? You must see yourself as spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna. Get that? Okay. So don't panic. Krishna, Krishna. Okay. Srila Prabhupada gave Jadurani a photograph of himself to paint from. Taken in India before he had come to America, it showed him grave and standing very straight against a blank white wall. Oh, Swamiji, Jadurani remarked, you look so unhappy here. No, he said thoughtfully, stretching out the sound of the word. No, that is not unhappy. That was a moment of ecstasy. Prabhupada drew Jadurani's attention to a picture on his wall. Mother Yashoda was rebuking her son Krishna for stealing butter, while in the distance 2 of Krishna's friends were hiding behind a tree, laughing. Prabhupada asked, do you think that Krishna would let himself get caught and his friends get away? She looked at the picture again. By the light of Swamiji's words, she could see that Krishna's friends would also soon be caught. She suddenly felt that she was there in Vrindavan. They both laughed. After staying with Prabhupada for 2 days, Satsvarup and Jadurani, the devotees visiting from New York, had to return to their duties. Although Prabhupada had been resting, he awoke just as they were about to depart, so they came into his room. In a faint voice, Prabhupada spoke a few words from his bed. Then he sat up and Gaurasunda began to massage him. People who think God is dead are crazy, Prabhupada said. Although no one had introduced the subject, for Prabhupada, preaching about Krishna was always apropos. His voice picked up volume as he denounced the atheists. Just like if I go to the doctor, if he checks my heart and it is beating well, and if he checks my blood pressure and it is going on, and my breathing is there, and after observing all these symptoms of life, if I ask him, "So, doctor, what is the condition?" If the doctor says, "My dear sir, you are dead," is this not a crazy diagnosis? Gaurasunda, still massaging, glanced wide-eyed at the others. Prabhupada was now speaking in a loud, forceful voice, as if addressing a large audience, instead of a few visitors in his sick room. Similarly, just see the signs of life in this universe. The sun is rising just on time. The planets are moving in their orbits. There's so many signs of life, and the universe is God's body. And yet they are seeing all these symptoms and declaring God is dead. Is it not foolishness? They're rascals. I challenge them. Simply rascals. A few soft words had become half an hour of strong, emphatic speech, meant to move the audience against all kinds of atheistic theorists. Although Caitanya had at first cautioned Swamiji, reminding him about his health, Swamiji had dismissed the caution by saying, "That's all right." But now he was exhausted and had to lie back down. The devotees had just seen Swamiji use up whatever energy he had gained from his afternoon's rest. Although they admired how he was using everything for Krishna, they were also fearful. But they were helpless to restrain him. They were even implicated. They wanted to hear him. When Satsvarup and Jadharani returned to New York, Brahmananda had them tell the others about Swamiji. Satsvarup told how he had slept in the room with Swamiji and had felt that this nearness to Swamiji was very auspicious. He had felt light and peaceful and close to Krishna all night. Satsvarup and Jadharani told about sitting on the beach with Swamiji and is talking about everything's being conscious in Krishna Loka. And they told how Swamiji had sat up in bed and had used his energy preaching, showing them that they should also use everything in the service of Krishna. Brahmananda beamed at the other devotees. Just look, just by your talking about Swamiji, everyone is feeling blissful. Prabhupada stayed in Long Branch for 3 weeks. But when Sri Krishna Pandit wrote saying that he couldn't arrange for an Ayurvedic doctor to come to America, Prabhupada began to think more seriously about going back to India. In India he could get sunshine and Ayurvedic treatment, but his plans would vary from one day to another. San Francisco, Montreal, India, New York. He told Caitanya to inform the devotees in San Francisco that if they held a Rath Yatra festival, he would come. At the end of June, he returned to 26 Second Avenue and to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor was surprised at Swamiji's recovery and had no objection to his flying to San Francisco. So in search of sunny skies and eager to guide his followers in performing the first Ratha Yatra, Prabhupada had airline tickets booked for himself and Kirtanananda to San Francisco, New Jagannath Puri. And that's the end of that chapter, devotees. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
How it is like to surf, like balance the waves, like while surfing and all.
How to do what?
Like like when you're surfing, like like surfing around the waves,
Yeah?
on the waves. So how difficult it is like to surf on the waves? You have to keep a balance.
Yeah.